What up, Raffalitos? Welcome back to my channel. We are back on Carifesta Avenue. This is Carifesta Avenue in Georgetown, Guyana. We are running beside the National Park. That's the National Park here in Georgetown, Guyana. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. People are out there running on the track, walking. And playing. And over in this direction there is the manatee pond. I've actually shown video of the manatees feeding. One morning I was lucky to come out here and see them. And this is back at Carifesta Avenue. Somebody wanted to know what happened to this hotel that is being built on Carifesta Avenue. Now I'm back in this neighborhood for two reasons. One is to show you the progress on the hotel that's being built here. The last time I brought you an update on this hotel project, it's about 6 months ago, I believe, and there's a debate about whether it was a Qatari group or a Dubai group. What I do know is this assets group that is building this hotel is from the Middle East, so it's a Middle East group that's building this hotel here at Carifesta Avenue. But the second point I want to make is that this land belonged to St. Stanislaus College. So the land on which this hotel resort is being built, belonged to a school, a high school in Guyana. At this end, the other half of it belonged to the Guyana National Service, which is another public service institution, like the Peace Corps. So the Guyana National Service in Guyana is like the Peace Corps in the US. The government seized this land and gave it to or sold it to the Middle East group that is building this hotel behind this wall. So the first thing they did is they put up this barrier, this fence that you can't see over, and then the assets group put up their posters. So the point I'm making is something that I said in a previous video this week, where I said I was happy that the Christchurch Secondary School was being rebuilt at the location where it was, and people took umbrage. All of the political types for the political party that now runs the current government started saying all sorts of crazy things about whether the government is good or whether the government is bad. That is not the point. The point is that the government has seized land from schools before. This is what the government did in 2024. Earlier this year, they seized the land from St. Stanislaus College and gave it to the Qatari group or the Dubai group, whichever group it is that's building this resort. So we were quite expecting the government to seize the land under St. George's School and under Christchurch Secondary School, because they had already set the precedent. They had already shown that this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to take the land that is valuable for commercial development, take that land away from the schools and turn it over to the developers. That is why, like I said in that video, I was pleasantly surprised that they rebuilt the school, St. Christchurch Secondary School, at the location where the school was destroyed. Okay, so for those of you nitwits who seem to think that every criticism of infrastructure that is being built here is an attack on your political party, this is nonsense. It is simply expecting a certain standard that is international standards. Guyana now has an economy that is 5 times greater. In other words, Guyana has earned 5 times the amount of GDP that we had 4 years ago. In 2019, Guyana's GDP was somewhere around 4 billion US dollars. Now it's over 20 billion US dollars. So Guyana's GDP is about 5 to 6 times greater than it was 4 years ago. And that money is being used to build this infrastructure. This is a drain that's being built by the government, I suppose. Drainage works are being built around the country, being built by the government. But they are not building high quality, good quality infrastructure for the money that's being spent. And the money that's being spent is actually real US dollars. Guyana earns over $2 billion annually now from oil, from the profits and royalties, payments from oil. Remember, when this contract was signed, the current government, that is the political party that runs the current government, says that it was a 2% contract, that they were going to cancel the contract and renegotiate. None of that has been done. The reason why is because, as I said in very many videos before, it was a good contract. The contract actually gives Guyana 14.25%, and at 650,000 barrels of oil produced per day in Guyana, that gives Guyana over $2 billion per year, or over 250 million US dollars per month from oil production. So that's where we're coming from. Now, where is this development? This is the resort. This development is located at the seawall. Remember, when they started building this stuff or taking over this land, I said a better move would be to reclaim land from the sea, because all along the coast here there are mud flats. Some of the mud flats are barely covered. In fact, when the sea comes in at high tide, some of those mud flats are still exposed. And that is why I suggested that a better way to do this would have been to simply reclaim land from the sea. Now, this is what they've done so far. You can see, based on looking over the fence here, that no construction has been done yet, right? Looking over the fence. This is the St. Stanislaus ground that is being right, that's St. Stanislaus ground. You can also see in the distance where Guyana National Service ground used to be. No construction has begun yet. In other words, the construction of this hotel has not started. They haven't even begun to put in the foundation. The question is why? So they're going to build this major resort hotel at this location, and that is what it's supposed to look like when it's completed, right? The posters tell you what it's going to look like when it's completed, but they have not started the construction of this hotel yet. And the reason why is because people still oppose the government seizing this land for this construction project. And so a lot of the opposition to this seizing of the land is taking place in the courts. In other words, the issue is working its way through the courts right now. Yes, so the issue of seizing this land is working its way through the courts. People who oppose government simply seizing land from the schools or from public institutions and turning it over to investors are challenging that decision in court, and that's probably why construction on this project has not started yet. The other thing that's happening recently is that the courts, the Guyana courts, recently approved the government's plan to seize or condemn the land that is in the properties that are at the Demerara riverbank underneath the bridge that is the Demerara River Bridge. So last week, Saturday, we actually looked at the progress at the Demerara River Bridge, and what we saw is that the government had already borrowed $260 million from the Chinese, and I predicted that the cost of building that bridge by the time it's completed will be around $1 billion US, and people started challenging me on that statement. The reason why is because building the bridge is only part of the cost. They have to condemn the land underneath the bridge, the property underneath the bridge. They have to reimburse, they have to basically use eminent domain, just like how they seized this land from the schools and turn it over to the developers here, the Middle East developers. In the same way, the government is seizing the land, the properties that are along the path of the bridge. So when the bridge comes ashore at what is that, at Demerara Harbour Bridge, Peters Hall, when the bridge comes ashore at Peters Hall, all of the property that is in the path of the bridge has to be condemned. They have to bulldoze all those houses to make way for the bridge. So the government has now received approval from the courts to seize people's homes, and they have to compensate those people for all those homes that are going to be condemned. That will add to the cost of the bridge. Now, the government has not disclosed how much they will pay people for their homes, but as you can imagine, it will amount to several million US dollars. They will also have to build access roads and ramps, on-ramps for the bridge on both sides of the river. They have to reorient most of the traffic in the vicinity of the bridge, and that will add several million US dollars to the cost of the bridge. So when you add all of those things up, by the time the bridge is completing, I've said, the bridge will cost over $1 billion US. And people challenge that. Well, it's happening. On the other side of the road, you see they're continuing to build these drain covers that become sidewalks. So the drain covers are becoming sidewalks here. But still, yeah, so this is what I want to show you there. It's still the standard way in which Guyana is building sidewalks now, and everyone is different. So this drain cover is wider than all the drains, and so the sidewalks here will be wider. So that's what's happening around the construction of this hotel. At the site of the construction of this hotel, they're building these drains and using the drain covers as sidewalks. This is the Ministry of Education ground we're looking at here. yes guys, so that's the point we're making in this video. One is that it's an update on the construction of the hotel that's being built, the hotel and resort that's being built by the Middle East group. Two is to point out that some people have claimed the PPP government is not seizing, has no intention of seizing land from schools, especially when the land is on prime real estate property. This proves those people wrong. The government has in fact seized land from St. Stanislaus College. We were back on Homestretch Avenue where I showed you the new St. Stanislaus grounds has been relocated. That's still prime real estate, prime property, so I wouldn't be surprised if eventually they remove them from there again. But that has been the practice here in Guyana, right? And those of us who are highlighting it are not doing so for political reasons. We're doing so because, like I said, there's real money going into the development in Guyana, and there is no consultation with the people when the government is making these decisions. So what you're getting is someone's vision, and it's a really mediocre vision of what the country should be, which is why I keep saying the next government will have to correct all of the mediocrity that is being done here by the current government. And if you think that's a political statement, you think that's the support of one political party or another, then you're just narrow-minded. It's just very simple-minded. Where I'm coming from is no less than the development of New York City. Robert Moses built most of the parkways and the bridges and the tunnels around New York City. He did not consult with the people. He evicted thousands of people from their homes, and what you ended up with in New York City is a reflection of Robert Moses' vision of what city life should be. That vision is racist, because if you look at the way he built swimming pools, Robert Moses did not build swimming pools in black neighborhoods. So even now, if you go into Harlem, there are no public swimming pools. If you look at the West Side Highway, there's a park along the West Side Highway, but it stops before you get to Harlem. So none of the facilities that were built for other communities were given to black people in New York City. And if you look at, I think they've removed it now, he actually put monkeys. Robert Moses put monkeys on the decorative parts of the park, the fence and so on, the entrances. He put monkeys in Harlem. No other part of the city did he put monkeys on bars, except in the black community. So the problem with when you have a government running the infrastructure development of a country without consulting with the population is you get the kind of development that Robert Moses did in New York, and that is basically what we're saying in this video. But that's it, guys. That's what I'm saying about infrastructure development in Guyana. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. Right now we're back at Camp Street. We're back at Camp Street and Carifesta Avenue. That's Camp Street looking south. This is the police officers' compound, their training compound. Of course, that's the police officers' school over there, training school. And all of this, these are the training, the barracks where the trainees sleep. And this is looking north towards the seawall. But that's what's up, guys. That's what's happening here in Carifesta Avenue and with the development of that resort by the Middle Eastern Group, Assets Group. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening here in the fastest growing economy in the world. And by fastest growing economy, I don't mean the most infrastructure being built. I mean the fastest growing GDP, because Guyana's GDP is now bigger than that of Jamaica. Right? Somebody in the comments wanted to know why am I calling Guyana the fastest growing economy in the world if Jamaica has more hotels being built and more roads and highways being built than Guyana. It's not measured by the number of structures that are being built, it's measured by the GDP. Guyana's GDP is now greater than 20 billion US dollars, while Jamaica's GDP is still around 14 billion. That's it, guys. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing country in the world, Guyana. Later.